Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Before we dive in, here's some real talk. If you're a leader, entrepreneur, or builder of anything, there's a whole stash of free tools waiting for you at papernapkinwisdom.com. We're talking mindset, strategy, clarity, no catch. Just ask. You can even hit the link in bio and grab what you need to move forward faster.
Welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom, where we share pearls of wisdom shared by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, leaders, and difference makers. Here's your host, Govind Jayaraman.
Hi, I'm Govind Jayaraman, and this is Paper Napkin Wisdom, episode 260. If you're a leader, entrepreneur, or someone out there trying to make a difference, then you're exactly where you need to be. Today, we're joined by Toni Harrison, CEO of Etched Communication, trusted crisis management strategist and powerhouse communicator. Toni's paper napkin is deceptively simple, but what if this simple model could fundamentally shift the way you think about resilience? She calls it the 4 pillars of resilience, being real. And whether or not you've ever found yourself needing to bounce back from adversity or lead others through it, you'll hear something in Toni's story that resonates with your own journey. I wonder what might happen if you allowed yourself to totally sit with that idea. Because Toni isn't just talking about survival. She's talking about thriving through the rigor, embracing the experience, choosing adaptability, and setting level-aligned goals. As you listen, pay attention to what lands, what sticks, and what you feel in your gut, then grab a napkin and write it down, because that's where transformation begins. Let's dive in. Toni Harrison, welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom. I am excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here for an awesome conversation.
Well, so look, if you're just listening to this conversation and not watching it, I welcome you to please log on, because Toni's got some exceptional art in the background. We talked about it beforehand. What is the name of the artist?
Kofi Agassor. He is an African artist. He is known for abstract, but when you look at his paintings, you can start to see life coming alive. This is actually a party scene behind me. They are at a party, but at first it just looks like colors floating down the canvas. But then when you look closely, you may see a saxophone. You see the legs, they're dancing. It's my favorite piece of art.
It's really quite striking. And I do love that the more you look at it, the more you see. So it is abstract, but it's very layered and it's striking. It's beautiful. So if you're not watching this and you're listening to this, check it out and check out Kofi Agassor's work. It's beautiful. Toni, you shared a really interesting napkin with me, and it's your 4 pillars of resilience, and they are taking on the rigor. That's the R. Embrace experience, E. Discovering how to be adaptable, A, and employing level-setting goals throughout your professional journey, which is L. So being real is the acronym. Why did you share that with me?
You know, resilience is really about the getting up, not the falling down. And a lot of times after we've fallen down and it seems so hard to get up, we can only see what's wrong. And we can only see what's holding us back, or maybe what didn't go as planned that made us fall down in the first place. And I have a concept that I call flipping the coin, right? If we think about being real, well, let's start about taking on the rigor. Any entrepreneur is going to fall down, right? So rigor, we've got to get back up. That comes from within, and being ready for those challenges and embracing them as they come, right? And then thinking about being adaptable. We have to be firm in the destination, but flexible in our journeys, because there are so many things beyond our control that come into our pathways that we either can see as a roadblock that stops us or as a hurdle that we jump over. And then those level setting goals. Just because you fall down, it doesn't mean you won't meet that goal. Maybe you didn't meet it in this moment, but you're still on the path. Level set, refocus, and get back to that goal. So being real, this is something I apply every day. I have it written in my handwriting and framed on the wall in my office, because we have to constantly remind ourselves of these things, especially as entrepreneurs.
So let's start with the rigor and taking on the rigor. And I think that's the hard part. I think that a lot of us, when we fall down, and look, in your professional work, you deal with a lot of people who have fallen down, and people, organizations, when they're in the down is when they come to Toni Harrison, right? So,
right.
So you're used to that. How or what do you see as being the successful getting up strategies that people have? Like, you've seen both sides of it, people stuck in the mud, stuck there for a while, and other people who just bounce up. What do you see as being the difference between the two?
So let's take a step back, right? I'm a crisis manager, a communication crisis manager. So many times I am speaking with a new client on the worst day of their career, and it's the first time we've spoken. Hey, I need help right now. Cameras are outside of my office building, or my stock has fallen so far, my shareholders, my company's going to collapse. And when we think about rigor, right, and we've fallen down, so we're already in this place, it's a mindset. It's not just, oh, I want to get up. Of course, you're an entrepreneur or, a CEO. You didn't get into that to say, oh, well, if I fall down, I give up. But it can be so hard to get that mindset in that moment. And sometimes that moment is all you have, because the time is going to pass. And if the stock continues to fall or what have you, whatever the situation may be. So getting the mindset to say, hey, this won't be easy, but I am going to face it till I make it. Not fake it till I make it. I'm going to face it, whatever that's going to take. Yes, it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be worth it. Yes, it may require me to step outside of my comfort zone, but that's what it's going to take to get past this moment. And I'm willing to commit to that because I know what's on the other side of this challenge. And that is opportunity. There is always opportunity on the other side when we face it with rigor and run straight into it with the right mindset. So being prepared for that and knowing it's coming. I was speaking with my nephew yesterday, and he's just finished his master's degree and he's getting into his career. And he's like, well, I want it like this, and I want this, and I want that. And this is how my career is going to go. And I said to him, no one says, I want a Mercedes, or I want, name something like just luxurious and nice. I want that because it's easy to have. No, you want it because it is a symbol, a status symbol, right? Because it does show, hey, I've achieved something or done something or I have something. And not that we have to equate it to material things, but when you think about it on that level, isn't your business the same? It's hard. Entrepreneurs work 80 hours a week to not work 40 hours a week for someone else. So that rigor, that mindset, that is the first thing. If you have that, the rest domino effect falls into place the right way. But you must approach it with the rigor.
I love it. I love the mindset. I love your play on words, face it till you make it. Right? I love that. And I also like the metaphor that you gave of flipping the coin, because you said it again in another way. And the other way that you said this is opportunity is on the other side of challenge. So if you're in the challenge side of the coin, you could flip it to the opportunity side. And it's a physical thing. You could even have, I have this vision that you could have this big C on one side of a coin, and then you could flip it over to the O side of the coin and say, okay, what's the opportunity? Right. And if we had that rigor, that practice, and that's why you call it rigor. It's do the thing, just do the task, the rigor of turning the coin over. Right.
Right. And once you do, the gates open again.
Right. right? So, and I see that's the whole thing. So then embracing experience. So what does that mean practically? What you had so many great tools for how to embrace the rigor, or sorry, taking on the rigor. How does the experience work? Embracing the experience work?
Experience is the greatest teacher.
Mm,
Experience is where we evaluate what went wrong, how to make it right, or what went right and how to do more of that. Experience also tells us where we've been and where we're likely to go if we make changes or don't make changes. Every experience, back to challenge versus opportunity, right? Every experience can be a challenge or an opportunity. Did I have this experience and now I'm down on myself? And what am I going to do? And my company's in trouble? Or did I have this experience, take on the rigor, and then say, you know what? It's taught me something. I'm not doing that again. I won't make that mistake twice. I'll probably make another mistake down the road, but I won't make that one. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to move forward with it.
right.
That's where the experience comes in. It's experience is not a check the box one or done. It's an evolution, and we will continue experiences as we go. But as we're learning from them, taking those lessons, whether they're micro or macro, we can turn every experience into a challenge or an opportunity. And hopefully, if we're going with the rigor, that experience becomes the opportunity.
And I like how so there's something called the restorative process, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which
Yeah.
is acknowledging when harm is done. And there are really 5 questions in the restorative process. What happened? Who was impacted in what way? What have you been thinking about since? What are you going to do to make it right? And when you ask those questions in sequence, sort of get to the place of that's the restorative process. So when you think about it, you went to how do you make it right? And that's the opportunity, because there is an opportunity in making it right. The opportunity. I think a lot of people think of making it right as a punishment to avoid, but you framed it as an opportunity to lean into, because there's an experience. It becomes part of something greater, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And here, newsflash, all of us are going to make mistakes. All of us are going to do something and look back and say, why did I do that? Or if I had this nugget of information, I would have made a different decision. That's experience,
Right.
right? And so again, we can take that and be down on ourselves and say, oh, look, I messed up. This happened. Or we could say, yes, that did happen. Gosh, I really don't like that it happened. So what am I going to do about it? How am I going to make sure it doesn't happen again? And again, you're going to make another mistake. All of us are. But we follow that process again. And that's where the growth happens. That's where we move forward. We don't have to swim with a parachute because something bad happened. We have to let it go. But to let it go, we have to recognize it was there in the first place.
Right. Right. You can't let go of something you can't see.
Right.
So embrace that, let it go, and move on. And this sort of really leads into your next point. But I really want to go back to how do you make it right in your experience. And you've dealt like I I love the frame that you set, and it's fun to see how you light up over this. But people came to you on their worst day of their career. That's when people walk through your door.
Yes.
Right? It's the worst day for them. Something like the proverbial crap has hit the fan. There's a mess. And your question is how to make it right. How is it? Do you find the people who get to that place faster are the ones that really achieve something, right? That they're iterating faster?
Absolutely. You problems, crises, they don't go away because you ignore them. They don't go away because you're on, or they don't go away because you're not honest about them. And one thing that we frequently forget, many of us do, especially when we're going through something, there are always humans just like you and me on the other side. And sometimes we're so caught up in what went wrong that we're complicating. Oh, well, what about this and that and this? Hey, sometimes we can make the complex simple. Here's what went wrong. Here are one or a few ways to make it right. Which one makes the most sense in this moment is authentic to you, your brand, your company, and let's move forward. No one is ever saying to a company, you're not allowed to make a mistake. What they are saying is when you make a mistake, own it, repair it, and move forward. We see it with, let's say, a consumer recall. A company says, hey, I made this widget, and now this widget is causing problems. Maybe it's starting fires or it's breaking. Okay, but hey, we owned it. We said we've noticed this issue is happening. We are going to make it right. Everyone's getting a new product. And if you don't want the new product, we'll refund your money. Now, is someone going to, in that moment, say, oh, okay, all is forgiven, this is great? No, they may still be frustrated. But the opportunity to turn that from a challenge lies in that response and walking the pace, because eventually they will appreciate that you did that. We see it all, but how many recalls have we seen? Those companies have bounced back. But the ones that it's been a lot harder are the ones who denied it and let it happen to thousands of people before they did something about it.
Yeah, and that like faking lying and hiding just doesn't work, especially in this social era, right? Like you the word will spread.
It will. But the number of companies and leaders who will say, do we really have to say that? Or do we really have to let people know that? Or we don't want to say that. And sometimes it's, but you must. There are a lot of things we don't want to do, but what we all want, and the shared goal here, is to overcome this situation and have success, right? So while we may not want to do something in the moment, back to embracing that experience. Experience tells me I don't want to do this. It makes me uncomfortable. But focused on that goal at the end says that while you're uncomfortable, enjoy that discomfort a little bit because we've got to go through it. Back to rigor. See how these are now moving backwards? They move backwards and forwards.
Absolutely. So then obviously discovering how to be adaptable is where we grow, right? That's the growth part of it because you have absorbed it. But before I get to the adaptability, because some people just jump to the solution. How do we solve? How do we solve? How do we solve? And they go to adaptability without embracing the experience. I wonder when you're thinking back to your client, the number of people that you've supported, have there ever been clients that refuse to embrace the experience and jump right to the adaptable part of it? And are those clients that actually make it, or are they clients that are you less likely to work with those kinds of clients? Like this feels almost like a little bit of a test lens for the kind of clients that you're going to be able to do something with, isn't it?
Yes, no, it most certainly is. And there have been instances where we are working through something and we've had to say, is this the right relationship? Of course, I don't want any client to ever feel as though I pushed them into something uncomfortable. But at the same time, ethics and integrity will tell me that I also have to have the boundary of not doing anything that I feel would sacrifice those ethics and integrity. Because when we're talking about a media crisis, we're talking headlines, we're talking Reddit threads, we're talking every social network, we're talking journalists talking about it, right? Our news anchors on the news. And we're also talking about average, everyday people who are impacted. So we have to say, no, let's be realistic. What do people need to know? What do they want to hear? And how can we resolve that for them? A lot of times the crisis has already happened. So that's in the past. That has happened. Do you want to recover? And how quickly?
Yeah.
And that's where the magic comes.
The way you're talking about it reminds me, I had a friend of mine who's an orthopedic surgeon, and he would oftentimes not laugh, but he would find it amusing that people would complain about the discomfort of screws in their limbs or plates being inserted to be able to restore a massive debilitating injury. When he says he goes, people are forgetting they came to me with a shattered leg. There was nothing left. And yeah, this is uncomfortable, but it would have been worse if we did nothing. Right. So yeah, the screw sucks. I get how much that hurts, but it's probably better than a bunch of bone shards up and down your leg.
Right.
And
That
it,
pain will resolve. If we don't do this, that pain will be persistent.
yeah, or you just have a non-functional leg forever,
Yeah.
right? That's the orthopedic surgery option. So discovering how to be adaptable really comes out of embracing the experience, because if you're faking and lying and hiding from the experience, you're solving the wrong problem, right? You adapt in the incorrect or inauthentic direction. So discovering how to be adaptable really flows from embracing the experience, which flows from, again, taking on the rigor, right?
Right. And adaptability, it goes to something I said moments ago. Be firm in your destination. This is where I want to go. This is the vision. This is the goal. This is what we're aiming to achieve. But you must be flexible on the path there. The journey there is not 100% up to you or me. There are so many factors that start to affect things, right? So if we say, hey, I am still focused on this destination, but in the moment, I will see, hey, this is coming my way, so I can adapt to that because I've still got to get to my final destination.
That's amazing. Um, I like that, and probably I'm just saying probably because in discovering how to be adaptable, there are probably things that you weren't measuring before that you can learn to measure about the progress on that journey to prevent the same problem from occurring, but more importantly, to go to the next step, level up to your next set of goals. Am I right in assuming?
Yes. Yes, no, you've got it. And if you're thinking about the destination for the journey, so the destination, you could say, hey, we're assigning the big goal goes to that destination. That's the end point. That's where we'll be. But level setting goals, you need those micro goals and objectives along the way. Hey, that's where I want to be. I'm not getting there tomorrow. I'm not getting there next week. It is a path, it is a journey. So, right now in this moment, my goal is to make sure I do X, Y, and Z because that's how I can then take the next step. And on the journey, when something comes in that feels like it could throw us off or push us down, we set goals for that moment. Doesn't mean your end result goal, your destination changes, but you set those micro goals along the way to measure your progress, but to also prepare and to know, hey, now I can take the next step. Look at what we achieved here. And it's very easy to say, this is my goal. I have to do everything just to get here. I need 1 million in sales or whatever the number is, or how many products you'd like to move. But let's think about the major brands we know, like name one, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Google, right? Coca-Cola didn't start off saying, I'm going to have 10 different types of drinks. I am going to have one soda. It is going to be the best. Everyone's going to buy it. Oh, people are drinking my soda. Maybe I should do one that has lemon lime, right? McDonald's, we make burgers. They started making burgers. Founder Ray Kroc made burgers. He had a burger stand. He made the best burgers at the time. Then you start to grow. It's now, it doesn't mean he couldn't have said when he started, hey, eventually I'd like to have a full chain of restaurants. But again, trying to be all things to all people at one time and not being flexible and setting those little goals along the way, the whole go big or go home concept just really doesn't work. It's not realistic. Go big or go home in this moment to get to that final destination, that goal.
So, what I find interesting about it is people are coming to you on the worst day of their career, right? When resilience really matters, you're asking them to do the work, embrace the experience, learn, solve, and adjust along the way, and make these micro goals. But really, really, all of it is not running away from what's happened, but really embracing it. Like it is really about the first thing you said, which is It's that other side of the coin. It's flipping the coin to the other side and realizing that this is an opportunity. And just to rush through it means that you've missed the opportunity, right?
Yes, you've missed the opportunity and you're likely to repeat it. If you're not approaching with rigor, embracing it, being adaptable, setting the goals, how are you learning? How are you evaluating? How are you deciding to take a next step that will yield a different outcome if you're not doing those things?
So where did this process come from, Toni? Like, what lightning bolt struck you to build this? It doesn't feel like it was a lightning bolt. I think it probably was developed over time, but where did this come from?
So this was ingrained in me. My grandmother was a civil rights leader. She was fierce. She was the first Black woman to ever address the Texas legislature. I love speaking about her. My father, same thing. He was a professional athlete. He was the first Black All-American basketball player. And then he was told he couldn't play in the NBA because he was Black and there was segregation. Both of them instilled in me, and both of them overcame those, right? My father's in the Hall of Fame today. But had he stepped back and said, well, they said I can't play in the NBA. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is where would he have gone? How different might his future have been? If my grandmother had said, I'm not fighting for these things, that's someone else's problem. How different might our world be? And they always taught me these things. Oh, you're going to fail. Surely you are. All of us are. We fail all the time. That's okay. That's okay. Give it a hug so that you know it, so that you won't do it again, right? So that you can learn from it. Try not to make that same mistake twice. Get back up, get back in the game. Back to my father, right? Yeah, I lost games. Sure, I did. But I won in the end because I kept going back and I kept playing and I made something of it. It's always been part of me. And then now doing crisis management, it's even more real because many times someone's coming and they're like, look at all these bad things that have happened. And I just need to sell a product. Well, it might be pretty hard to sell the product if no one's hearing what you need to say. Or I just need to keep my business going. I just need to keep it moving. Well, you can't keep it moving if nobody wants to come along for the ride because they don't trust you or because you were dishonest or because you didn't own this and now it happened to too many people versus recognizing it when it first started. So I received it from grandmother, from my father, and now with what I do with crisis management, I not only have to own it for myself, but I have to apply it to my clients. And that is sometimes how I get them through those moments. Like, look, we're going to be uncomfortable for a moment. But if our end goal is here, this discomfort is temporary versus being extended. Let's get through this discomfort. Back to rigor.
Yeah, I love I love what you said about your grandmother. Give it a hug. That sounds like great, great advice. When you're doing this, so this is how you learned it. This is how you have applied it in your work, in your world, and this is how it goes forward. Have you ever seen somebody who maybe has gone too far? Let's say, like, do you have clients who have literally been faking, lying, and hiding, not facing it, faking it for years and years and years, and they come to you not on the worst day of their life, but on the 400th worst day of their lives? They've just been shoving it under the carpet for all that time. They've been lying to themselves and everybody for a long time. Can they still take on your process of being real? Is it ever too late?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I would like to say no. But if you've never taken on the process, you must be willing to start now. And you must be very, very realistic, back to real, about what it's going to take to get there and how much harder it may be. And I have had to have those conversations with clients and say, out of professional respect, you are the client. I cannot make a decision or take a step without you. but here's the outcome you are likely to receive if we still continue. Now, if you still want to continue, unless it's violating ethics or integrity, right? That's different, then we're done. But if you still want to proceed this way, I cannot guarantee an outcome for you. I will do what you need or you think you need, but I can't guarantee an outcome and no one can. You have to understand that maybe you're hiding and your lack of accountability and your lack of communication is why this issue has festered and is here now this way. So unless you're willing to do the things you need to do to change that, happy to help, but I don't see how your outcome is going to be any different than continuing to hide.
Yeah. And have you been in circumstances, and I'm not asking for specifics at all, but have you been in circumstances where the odds were really high, where people were like against you, not against you, but a bit like where people have been, in a decade of mired failures and lies and hiding and covering up, and they took on the rigor, they embraced the experience, they were adaptable, they created micro goals and level setting goals that helped them along their journey, and they found their way out of it eventually?
Yes, but usually in those instances, especially the ones that come to mind now, something has changed or shifted. Another leader has come in, another factor is at play. One company, it was, we want to go to IPO. And now we can't because all of these things we were hiding behind are coming to light because it's IPO. National public offering, right? Or once it was a major leadership change with a board of directors. A new board of directors comes in and says to the CEO, no, we have to do it this way. So there's usually a spark. One thing I have learned about entrepreneurs, we're go-getters, we're willing to do some of the work, but rarely can we change behaviors and mindsets. We can adjust them and adapt to them, but if what you have always done is hide behind it, I am not a miracle worker. No one is. It is very hard to convince a powerful founder or CEO that their ways are wrong and they need to change them. Yeah. Usually there's a spark that comes in that helps us out.
Awesome. That's amazing. There's this. I know we could continue on, but I think that this is a great way to sort of merge the next part. We end every episode this season in honor of John Ruhlin, who was a great inspiration to our community. Started a movement around a book called Giftology. Prior to writing the book, he was on Paper Napkin Wisdom 11 years ago and shared a brilliant napkin with us, which was "What you appreciate appreciates." He suddenly passed away. And in honor of his memory, we were asking every guest to share some appreciation, share some love out there in the world, a shout out to somebody or several people in some cases. Who would you like to shout out today?
Wow, go with gratitude is another saying that I frequently try to own. And so I could name a lot of people, but then we'd be here all day long. One person I'm truly grateful for is my much older sister. I love saying that about her because someone once asked who's the youngest, and she's 11 years older than me. So now I call her my much older sister. But being 11 years older than me, she passed on so much wisdom. Every mistake she made, becoming an attorney to a major franchise owner, she shared with me as lessons. She would send books to me. You need to read this. If you can't read the entire book, read this chapter. When I was starting my business, it was meet this person so you can understand how to put your benefits package together. All of these things that as a crisis manager, I know that. I don't know anything about running a business per se. I know how to be successful in crisis management and communication. And while she was getting her own businesses up and running, she was always there. She always passed on the lessons or connected me with someone who could. And that is critical. Everything is not within us. Expand your network, get uncomfortable, ask the questions, learn from others. And she taught me how to do that, which is why I have so many more people to be thankful for today, because I learned to step outside of my own bubble and to step outside of my comfort zone and say, hey, I'm struggling. This is where I think I might drop a ball. And she taught that to me, and that I carry with me every single day, and I can't measure it because it still continues to manifest and surface in so many different ways. And it feels good to be able to own it and say, I need some help. And you know what? I have never said, I feel like I'm about to fail, I need help, and regretted it. It's always been okay. So for anyone out there listening, even when it feels like I am intimidated to say this, or will people think I'm a failure, or will they think I'm incompetent? No, failure, incompetence is not owning it and not asking for help. Step outside and do it. And she taught me that, and I thank her for it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you, Toni.
Thank you.
What a powerful framework to anchor ourselves in from Toni Harrison. Toni's 4 pillars of resilience, being real, offer a refreshing and grounded take on what it truly means to lead through adversity and complexity. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways from this conversation. Rigor is where confidence is forged. It's not about avoiding the hard, it's about embracing the stretch. Embrace experience. Every chapter, even the messy ones, adds depth to your leadership. Adaptability means letting go of what no longer serves you and leaning in to transformation. Level-setting goals keep your actions aligned with your bigger mission, because momentum without direction is just noise. Here's the thing. You already have everything you need to start being real right now. Maybe you've even started without realizing it. So what's your next step? What insight from today's conversation is going to move you forward? I challenge you to write your answer on a napkin. Seriously. Grab one. Scribble your takeaway. Snap a pic and post it with the hashtag #PaperNapkinWisdom. Why? Because when we share our insights, we create momentum for others too. And if this episode hit home for you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who needs it. You never know who's one insight away from a breakthrough. Until next time, keep turning your small ideas into big results. Stay real, stay resilient, and make it a great day.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.